Now, according to new reports, 1/4 of parents are considering leaving their job as conflict arises between home and work life. I'm joined now by Kiri Stejko from Parents at Work, which has commissioned the research into family stress. Welcome to the program, Kiri. Now, what do you make of the research that you commissioned and the findings that parents, after just 12 months into the job after they've returned from having a baby, they're thinking about quitting?
I think that what they're thinking about doing is leaving their current employer, which doesn't necessarily mean they're going to quit work. It does mean that the employer that they're with at the time isn't supportive of the combination of work and family responsibilities, which is alarming, and employers should be concerned about that. 1 in 4 women are thinking about that. So, yeah, it's not good.
What are the main problems? Why are they thinking about leaving their employer?
Well, look, our survey showed that over 62% of the respondents are experiencing physical and mental fatigue, which means that the combination of work and family is overwhelming. Workplaces are not necessarily supporting flexible work practices, which is what people are asking for the most. Some are getting it, and if they are, they have a much better experience of combining work and family. We also need workplaces to encourage dads and welcome dads into this conversation about taking parental leave, working flexibly, so that both men and women, where you've got a mum and a dad in the family, are able to work equally and share the load at home equally.
Along with your research, there's also research from the University of Sydney out today that indicates that some young women are choosing not to have children at all when they look at their colleagues in the workplace and seeing how much they're struggling with that balance that you just spoke about between a family life and at work. Are you seeing this as well, that young women are choosing not to have kids?
Well, look, we certainly do hear from younger generations that they are worried. They look up, at older colleagues and they don't see a positive role model. They think, oh my gosh, it looks hard, it looks stressful. I don't know if I want to do that. I think it's really sad if that is the reason that people are choosing not to have children, and you wouldn't want work to be the barrier for producing our future generations. So, I think we do hear that, and it's sad to hear that that's being reported in that university paper as well.
What does that say, do you think, about how our priorities are changing as a society if young women, see this dilemma that maybe they think that they can't have both, or it's too exhausting to have both, but they're choosing their career instead of having a family?
I think that women have now been welcomed into the workplace, and we do have careers and we enjoy work, as have men done for decades. I think what we now need to do is balance that out and welcome men into the home life so that we can all do this together. I think, women have been welcomed in, but nothing's changed on the home front for men. Women still carry the majority of the load at home. Men still can't really work flexibly. It's not socially accepted. Men can't take extended parental leave. They might get a week or 2 at best. So I think for women to see that there is hope and to continue enjoying work in the way that men do, we all need to do this in a sharing the caring kind of way.
Well, in the US, some companies are offering men up to, 6 months or longer of paid paternity leave. Why do you think Australia is so behind on that front?
Well, some of those companies have actually rolled that out globally, for example, Spotify and Diageo, and so they do have that here in Australia as well. And we are lagging in Australia because we are only just realising that it's a systemic problem. We are absolutely seeing quite a lot of change happening with leading employers. The ones that backed this survey, for example, they get that this is a real challenge for their employees and that they need to support their employees better with the combination of work and family. It is happening. The change is here in Australia. It is slow, and we are far behind all of the other OECD nations, really. But it's getting there. The government needs to follow suit as well.
I mean, I think oftentimes you can have all the best policy in the world, but do you think practically it's just simply easier and more efficient for an employer to have a man in the job who's going to be there full time rather than a woman working flexibly who might leave to pick her kids up from school? And even if she does say she's going to be on call at home, the employer might just choose the man who's going to work the long hours.
Look, right now, Yes, absolutely. That's reality. Right now, sure, it's easier to choose the person, the male or female, that will work the extensive hours and not prioritise any family time. That is changing, though. The next generation, the millennials that come through, they will expect their employers to give equal flexibility to both genders. They'll expect that dads can take parental leave in the same way that women can. So right now, yes, that is the truth. But businesses need to think to the future. We need to be prepared for the future of work. We need to be prepared for the generations that are coming through. The millennials are going to be the majority of our workforce in 5 to 10 years' time, and that's what they're going to expect. So we have to think a little bit more forward rather than just dealing with the here and now.
The millennials, of course, choose not to have children because they're so worried about the environment. But look, your survey did look at 6,000. You surveyed 6,000 working parents. What about how many women felt like they missed a promotion? Because you say millennials are going to expect it, but it's also the case of women missing a promotion because they took paternity leave and they now have other responsibilities.
Yeah. So look. 1 in 3 parents and carers reported having missed out on opportunities, and more so for women than for men. That is another problem. That is something we have to face. And again, if we equalise everyone taking parental leave and everyone working flexibly when you do become a parent, these issues are resolved, and the discrimination against gender for having a career break to raise our future generations, it will reduce. It's sort of the missing piece of the puzzle in the gender debate, really. We've got to equalise parental leave and flexible work for there to be gender equality.
Do you think society, your organisation is Parents for Work, do you think society respects enough women who do choose to stay at home and look after their babies rather than sending them off to childcare or hiring a nanny?
Everybody has to have a choice. Every family needs to do what's right for their family. If you can afford and want to stay at home and raise children, that's wonderful, absolutely wonderful. I'm not sure about society's response to either working women or stay-at-home mums or stay-at-home dads who face a lot of stigma, possibly more so now than stay-at-home mums. But the point is choice, If a dad wants to stay at home, if a mum wants to stay at home, and they can, that's amazing. And if they want to work, then many people don't have a choice. We have to work due to the cost of living. But yes, stigma is a problem in all areas, unfortunately.
Kiri, just very quickly, did you see that cartoon in the Fairfax and Channel 9 media papers that just caused so much controversy last week by Loonig, that had a mother pushing her pram and her head down in her mobile phone and the baby was just lying on the floor? What did you make of that cartoon? Did you think that was sexist?
Look, I think Loonig was trying to make a comment about the fact that we are paying more attention to our phones and our devices rather than it being necessarily sexist, about women, get off your phones, look after your babies properly. I think what I took from that was more about, technology is real. It's sort of taking over our lives. Presence and quality of time there is a barrier to that due to technology, and I think that that's the case for everyone. And I hope that was his point. I know it did cause a lot of controversy. I like to think that was more about the technology than the gender.
That would be good if he wasn't being sexist, but I think he was as well. Kiri, Stejko, thank you very much for your time today.
Thanks for having me.